I just swung you around. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome in. Today we are going to go over my completed pages for April of 2026. So if you're interested in that, stick around. Okay y'all, I do not have a very big stack of books here, and I didn't color a whole lot of pages, but I colored a lot of double pages. So we will get started here. The first one I'm going to show you is in Celebrations Coloring Book by Thomas Kinkade. And I did the Moana, I think that's how you say her name. When I talked about this page before in another video, I'm pretty sure I called her Mona, and that's not what her name is. But I did this one, and the first thing I did, I used the Grabby watercolor floral set. This right here. I used this, and I took this moss green, and I painted the whole page with moss green because there's so much green over here that was the perfect color to do. So I used that, and then I also used a few of the colors. I think I used like the dark pink and the blue I used up in here for the sky. The thing I learned about these pages, this is actually the first page of any of these sort of Disney books that I have ever completed. And the thing I learned about it is you got to be okay with things not being so precise. Because you got to remember, this is a painting, and then I'm using colored pencil over here. So it's not going to look the same. But I really like the way this turned out. I used my big old Posca. I did a video on these, and I love these big ones. These are the Poscas to go for, in my opinion, is these big ones. But I used that to replicate all the flowers and stuff that are down in here. And then I colored it with Prismacolor. And I'm really proud of the little piggy here because he didn't have any detail on him. And so I tried to make him as close to this as I could. And I think I did a pretty good job on that. But yeah, I actually really liked coloring this. Look at the little piggy. Ain't he cute? Look how cute. But I really like this page. Moana in Disney Celebrations Coloring Book by Thomas Kinkade. The next one is in Little Folk by Christine Karron. And let me find this page. I did this in March, and I forgot to show it in my completed pages, so I'm showing you now. This is Mushroom Mood, and I colored her with Prismacolor. There's Spectrum Noir Blue, which is right here on her clothing, and I used Distress ink in the background, and then I used a white acrylic paint, and I did the paint splatter on her. But I love her expression on her face, and that's the reason I wanted to color her. But let's take that off of there. But yes, I think she turned out lovely. I've seen a few people do this page, and it seems like it's been forever and a day since I colored this, because it was a whole month ago. but she's lovely. I love all the Christine Karron books, as y'all know. And then the next page I did in here was a whip and a buddy color. I did this buddy color with Stacy Lee. And let me move my page over here. And I will put Stacy's picture right here. Stacy, I love your background. You did such a great job. I love it. It's so cool. My background is kind of a Mod Podge of, I used Distress ink in the background, and this is a new set that I got. So I just kind of used it together. And I also used some brush markers, and I am not a marker girl, as y'all know. I don't use markers very much. And the reason I don't use them, and I said this the last time, because I showed this last month too, but I always get these streaks because I just cannot blend out the markers. But in this circumstance, I think that it worked in my favor because it gives the hat some texture. And I also used it down here on the pot of gold, and it did work in my favor there. But then I colored her with a Prismacolor, and I've got some gold paint here on her little leggings and on her buckles here. That's all paint. Is that all I used? Oh, there's paint right here, the gold paint right here on this too. But yes, I really didn't think I was going to finish this because we were past March and past the holiday. But, you know, I guess you can color St. Patrick's in May. It's okay. Or April. I don't even know what month we're in, y'all. April. But that is my finished page of Miss Leprechaun and Buddy Color with Stacy Lee. And that is Little Folk by Christine Karron. The next one is in Johanna Basford's Worlds of Wonder. I had so many plans for April, y'all, that they were crazy. And I did not get nearly any of them done, but I did finish this page and this one. I did the whole watercolor thing again. I painted the whole page with watercolor, this color right here, as you see, because I'm a little messy with the paint. But off topic kind of, but I shared a reel on Instagram the other day, and it's this guy, and he's painting, and it says, "How does this happen?" or something like that. And he's got a little smudge of paint on his finger, so he goes to wipe it off, and by the end of the reel, he had the paint all over him. I so relate. Yeah, I definitely relate to that. But I did what did I use for this? Probably one of the grabby watercolors. I don't remember which one I used, but I colored this with Prisma and Black Widow. I tended to do that a lot this month in the majority of my pages, but like most of it's colored with the Black Widow, and I wanted some white flowers, and I started coloring these white, and this, I'll bring it up closer so you can see better here in just a minute. But I started coloring them white, and they just were not white enough. Even with usually when you put watercolor over the top of a page, the white will pop out because you're not coloring on white or ivory or whatever. But the Prisma white is way better than the Black Widow white, so I started using that. And then I've got some glitter markers here that I used. Is this glitter markers? No, this is these again, the Poscas. I used these in some of the flowers, like here's one, and then there's one. But this was a lot. This was a lot of flowers to color, but I loved it though because I don't know, I'm in this floral thing that I like coloring flowers now, and I've been coloring for like 8 or 9 years, something like that, and I have never liked to color flowers. So that just goes to show you that your taste will change. And sometimes you should hold on to your books, even if you're not coloring in them, just in case. I say that, and I'm going to be doing a destash video at some point this month in May. But that's a little bit different. But anywho, that is my completed page. If you can see here, hold on. There's that white's the Prisma white, and this is the Black Widow white. So stark difference. And I had already filled in the tooth of the paper right here, and I could not put any more pencil there, or I would have fixed it with the Prismas, but I did not do that. But that is my page in Worlds of Wonder by Johanna Basford. And then the last book that I colored in, but certainly not least, has become my new favorite book. Kerby Rosanes, Dark Fairytales. I did 3 double-page spreads in this book this month. That's the reason I didn't get so many done. But let me show you. I kind of want to do them in an order of, yeah. This is the 3 Little Pigs. And I did this for Jordy Colours, hashtag Color the Fairytales, because she did the 3 Little Pigs for March. And I thought that was just perfect for this. But what I did with this is I did the watercolor thing again. I used a red to paint the whole page. And because I didn't use the paint real thick, like, it was kind of pink instead of red, but it still worked out. Because I wanted this to be like fiery and crazy and, you know. But I used that on the whole background. And then I used a combination. All right, y'all. I don't remember what I was talking about because my son showed up to mow my grass. So I got him situated. He's out there mowing my grass. We'll go back to this. Okay. I used the red paint for the background. The pigs are done with Black Widow pencils. And this one here's got a little bit of yellow on them because they're the ones that are shooting the fire. And then I didn't put any yellow down here on this guy because he's covered by the wolf. And I did add some red around his mouth and around here to make it a little more gruesome, you know. And then this was done with Gansai Tambi paint. This right here and here. I did the whole wolf with the Gansai Tambi paint. I painted him and then I colored over top of him with Prisma and Black Widow. All the wood down here, that's also paint. And I did shadows and stuff with the pencils. And I put some white up here because, you know, that's kind of smoke. And I was trying to, you know, give that illusion. But let me bring this up a little bit closer. The explanation of this page seems like it's been all over the place just because, you know, I've had to stop many a times. But ain't it cool? I love this book. And then which one did I do next? Yes, this one was my main focus this month. And then I did The Wizard of Oz. I did another, I'm sorry if you can hear banging in the background. That's, you know, the yard work getting done. I'm convinced that you can hear that lawnmower like really loud, but I'm going to try to hurry so I can get this done. I did the watercolor wash again with this, and I used a red paint again for this because this is Tornado, so it's supposed to be looking, you know, dark or whatever. But with the Tornado, I used Mod Podge Extreme Glitter in the Tornado back here. And I also used it on the brain and on the axe, on the heart here, and on the spikes coming up out of the lion. And what else? I used the Gansai Tambi paint again for the lion and some parts of the scarecrow here, and then this background here. And then I used Prismacolor and Black Widow pencils to do the shading. And let's see, I like the way the lion looks. I think he looks cool. I wanted to make him like a darker color underneath, kind of showing like he's coming out of his shell, you know. And he's shedding this part right here. I don't know, that's the story that I made up for the page. But this one turned out really cool too. I'll bring it up so you can try to maybe see the sparklies. Kerby Rosanes is mine. I mean, what a cool... Even though the Wizard of Oz, I wouldn't consider that a fairy tale, but it definitely fits. See the sparklies in the... And I did notice that I did not color this tree right here. Shh, y'all be quiet. It's the way I meant it to be. And then there's Dorothy right there. She really blends into the picture. It's kind of hard to see her if you're not looking for her. But yes, I love the way this one turned out. And then last but not least, for sure, is the one before this. I actually did a video on this page of how I planned on tackling this page. And I used the same kind of technique for all the pages in here. But I got a notebook and I wrote everything down. And I wrote everything down. I broke everything into elements so I could like not be so overwhelmed by the page. And I was really good about writing everything down on this one. These are all my elements here. The supplies I use: Prisma, Black Widow, gold leaf paint, and watercolor paint. And then I wrote like everything down on this page. And there were, if you're wondering, there's 17 people over here. But yeah, that's how I did this. But I started with, I used the watercolor. I painted the whole thing purple. And then I knew that I wanted the background, because I know it's technically not a double page spread, but I wanted to color it as it was. So I wanted to bring the background all the way across to show that it was night in each page. And I wanted over here to look like there was like a light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. And so this over here is a little bit lighter. I made the sky a blue color right just here. And then I used like a sky blue or something like that. And that's what I highlighted everything with. Because after I got done coloring the background, I did the background first. And after I got done doing that, these little places of the trees, or pieces of the trees, the branches and stuff, they were going to be very hard to color any other color. And of course they were the light purple color here. So I went with purple trees, and then I highlighted it with blue to give it that glow. And also highlighted the horses with the blue so it would have that same kind of glow. And what I tried to do is take all of the colors that I used over here, and I tried to implement them over here so it would be cohesive. Like the inside of the pumpkin is the same color of his suit here. I've got gold paint splatter because I don't know, I just thought that that would be very cool. And the paint that I have is very thin. So when I say splatter, I'm using that term loosely because a lot of the times I'm just dropping it on the page and it is what it is. But I've got that down in here too. And I did want to make sure that I did not forget Cinderella's shoe. And because it's a glass slipper, it shouldn't have any color, right? So I took a Posca and outlined it, and I just made the shoe the color of the dirt here. But then over here, I outlined it in Posca as well, but I put purple and gold in this one because she's on the purple floor. Because the floor you see here, this is the purple that the whole page was. But I tried to pull everything over just so it would look, you know, cohesive. I did use Posca on her little tiara here, and I used Posca up here on the candles too. I used the white Posca, and then where the flames are, I used an orange Posca, and then put a dot of the white Posca on top of that so it would look like flames. And this, what did I use for this? This is a glitter marker back here. This is the only part of it I don't like, is this window right here, because it was hard to do. And then I know that these here were all colored with the Black Widow pencil because I already had a color combo. And these are the same pencils. I know it looks different, but there was more of the purple paint here than there was here. But I don't mind that because it gives the shadow illusion. And then I've got Posca on her dress here, and all the little dots here, and there's Posca here. And then with the people, this is really funny. I'll bring this up closer so y'all can see it. But with the people, I took a white Posca and I dotted their eyes with the white, and then I took like a fine liner, a black fine liner, and put a black dot in the middle of that white. And this is very, very small. And all these people look really shook. Let me show y'all. Are you looking at their eyeballs? Look at them. They look like they are just shook at this dance that is going on. I just thought it was really funny. After I got it done, I started looking at it and I was like, oh my gosh. But perfect for this page. But this is the first one that I completed in this book, and I just couldn't stop, so I did the other two. But I wanted to talk about this one last because I'm very, very proud of this page. This book is awesome. I love it, and you will see it again in my coloring plans for May. Most definitely you will see it again. But that, I think I told you everything that I used. Gold paint here on the chandeliers. There's gold paint down here because I wanted to bring it over here. But I thought this looked kind of cool too, just putting the little dots and stuff like that over here with the gold. The whole thing's cool. And then the birds. I did want to talk about the birds because I wanted to make them black and I wanted the background black, but I didn't want the birds to like melt into the background. So I did put like purple and blue around the birds in the sky back there just so they wouldn't melt in, if that makes any sense. I hope so. What I would love to do, and I wish I had the ambition to do this, I would love to choose one of these pages and just film myself coloring it, kind of like Karron from My Colorful Country Life, like she does. And I would love to do a video like that. But mine would not be 3 hours. I don't mind that hers are 3 hours. I think it's awesome. But I don't think I got the bandwidth to upload a video that long. But kind of like a condensed version of maybe an hour. Cut it all down to an hour. I don't know. Would y'all watch that? Would you be interested in a video like that? Yes, I just love this. I love it very much. But that is all of my completed pages for the month of April 2026. And if you stuck around in the video for this long, I appreciate you very much. And I hope that you have a wonderful morning or afternoon or evening or wherever you are in the world when you're listening to this. And until next time, y'all, bye.